I want to understand from you, while I understand what personal credit is, but I think many people may not be familiar with it. So it would be great if you could explain what MoneyTap does and what Freo does in your own terms, please.
Sure. So first of all, Freo is sort of an evolution of MoneyTap. It's the same company. So MoneyTap is one of the products, and Freo is sort of the next generation, where we take that product and a suite of other products and make it a new generation bank. So back in 2016 when we launched, so I've been very lucky in many ways. But in this venture, I've been lucky because I have two excellent co-founders, Anuj and Kunal. So when the three of us started, and I'll give you a little background of what the problem we were trying to solve. And every entrepreneur knows, you not only need to have a problem, but you need to solve it slightly differently, right? Something creative has to come. So the problem we were trying to solve, Nivedan, like you correctly pointed out, is notion of personal credit. Personal credit is something we all know about, even though it's kind of a fancy word. Credit is basically the money you do not have, but you hope to have, right? Whether it's a paycheck that's going to come at the end of the month, but you run out of money on the 15th or the 20th of the month, or whether it's, hey, it's like suddenly, I need to pay school fees. There's a medical emergency. There is, I need to do a trip, right? I will have the money, but I don't have the money right now. So think of it like a cash flow, right? So cash flows are never even. You get a bonus one time during Diwali, or end of the year, you get you get your salary at particular intervals, but your expenses don't exactly match the same frequency, right? So the expenses don't come in that order, and sometimes you might even have a saving, but you might have invested the saving, in the stock market or something else, or buy gold, or typically what most people in India do, or a number of other things. And you don't necessarily want to sell your gold to pay for your trip, right? Because that might not be a good idea to do that. So that's where credit comes in. And our insight was that when people need small amounts of credit, right? By small amounts, I mean anything from 2,000 rupees to a few lakhs, depending on who it is and what their needs are. And when they need the money right now. And typically what happens is, especially for the smaller amounts of money, banks will not be the place which will give you the money, right? You cannot go to a bank and say, give me 20,000 rupees. They will just laugh you out of the bank, right? They're not structured to do that. They're structured to do big ticket items. You want to buy a car, you want to buy a house, right? Or you want to take a large educational loan, you want to do an MBA, right? So banks are a good source because they have cheap capital. But because they're so paper-based and so bureaucratic, they're not structured to give small ticket items. And what we found out when we spoke to more than 1,000 people on the street, right, in various settings. And what we found is that people usually first go to their friends, right? Because your friends are like the one you feel most comfortable, right? Hey, by just give me some money, I'll just pay you back. And that's what most people do, which works, except that usually your friends are also the same economic structure as you are, right? So they might spot you for a little bit, but if you want, a slightly larger chunk of that, friends might not, they might have their own, shortages. The next port of call is usually family. Now, in especially in this generation, family is a little awkward, right? Because the relationships are there. Many people have good relationships, many people don't. Right, and asking Chacha for money is, it's kind of a little embarrassing, right? Asking a parent for money is, come on, you're making your own money. You don't want to go and ask them for money, but people do. What do you do if you don't have a choice? And that's the problem we were trying to solve, right? To solve that embarrassment. And so the innovation, Nivedan, is that what we launched is a line of credit. So people don't need a loan always, right? And loan is kind of like a dirty thing. I don't want a loan. But what I would like is I don't mind like a 1 lakh line of credit or a 50,000 or whatever. I don't want to pay interest because I'm not taking a loan, but it's kind of like an option value, right? Suddenly I wake up in the middle of the night, I want the money. Once you're approved, you click on a button and you take as little as you want. You don't need to take all the 50,000, take 5,000, take 10,000. Pay it back in 2 months, pay it back in 3 months in EMI form, which is what everybody's used to EMI. And that was the innovation. Innovation is small amounts of money when you need it, pre-approved, right? And pay interest only on that. That product has really taken off. We've done more than $1 billion of credit disbursements on that. And built on top of that, we realized people have other needs. For example, we have a product called Freo Pay, which is the same product except that it's a micro line. So we all use UPI, but when we want to use UPI, you have to immediately take the money from your bank balance, which you probably have. But at the end of the month, you get a statement which is like some 3,000 little pieces, like 20 rupees for chai, 10
I
rupees
was trying to solve for this problem exactly yesterday. My dad was upset that why do you make so many UPI transactions? It makes his life difficult in terms of tax filing. Wow.
Exactly. So what you want to do is download Freo Pay. So it gives you like a credit card like feature. So there's no interest if you pay back in full. But it is you get approved for a small ticket, let's say 2,000 rupees or depending on your credit eligibility. But you pay one shot at the end of the month. Right? That's as simple as that. So these are some of the products. You have Freo Save product, which is a savings account, so on and so forth. So we have a suite of products, which basically that's where we are. The larger picture, if I may just quickly summarize, is that when I grew up in the 1980s, you had to go to a bank and stand in line and even to take your own money out. Obviously that changed, and now nobody goes to a bank, and at the best you go to the ATM, and that worked for the last 20 years, and that's what gave birth to HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, and Axis Bank, and all the private banks that you see. Right. So the private banks that you see basically took the market share away. So they've taken some 40-50% market share from the public sector banks, which were like dinosaurs. But what has happened in the next generation, obviously, is that nobody wants to even go to an ATM machine. Like, why? Right? Why do you even have cash? Right? That it doesn't make any sense. And what you really want is like everything on an app, right? So the premise, Freo and MoneyTap are built on a premise that if Swiggy can deliver food to you, right, in 30 minutes,
we should be able to deliver money to you at least
instantly. Correct.
Instantly.
So money is a digital product, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody can give you hot food in 30 minutes, right, think of all the complexity that comes with it, right? So if you were to clock forward 10 years later, I strongly suspect the banks won't exist. They don't have any business to exist, right? They're just taking up real estate, honestly. Right. And we will be living in a digital world because money is digital.